Hi, this is Carl Palachuk with another SOP video for Managed Service Provider. Today I want to talk about the quarterly business review, or as I like to call it, the roadmap meeting. Your quarterly roadmap meeting with each of your clients is a gargantuan piece of your success. Now, most of you, I know for a fact, are not doing these meetings. You try to do them once a year, sometimes you do them twice a year. But the more you have these conversations with your clients, the easier it is. Your clients might resist a quarterly business review or a roadmap meeting simply because they think it's a sales meeting. So you need to work really hard to not make it a sales meeting. And there are people, I've talked to so many people that they line this all up and they say, look, you're going to need this and this and this. You're going to have to replace your wireless. You're going to have to get a new firewall. You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to do that. And of course, the client thinks that that sounds like a sales meeting. So you really have to go in with a set of questions. For example, start with a set of standardized questions. How have things been with your technology? Is your server uptime acceptable to you? Right? In fact, you might even ask, how often has your server gone down in the last 3 months? How's your business doing? Are you growing? Are you shrinking? Ask them about their business. People love to talk about their business. Ask them how much money they made this quarter. Ask them whether they've hired or let go any of their employees. Has anybody changed jobs? Do you have a new web designer? Engage them in a conversation about their business. And then you can say, so just so you know, down the road, eventually, not this year, maybe next year, we're going to have to replace that firewall. If we keep having issues like we had last week, then by golly, it's going to have to happen sooner. I'm just giving you a heads up. So when you introduce it that way, then you can come back and have a sales meeting. In fact, you can be invited back. Hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and set up a sales meeting. Get me a quote, and we'll talk about firewall options. But keep it separate from the roadmap meeting. That's critical to your success. If you do this on a regular basis, then you have what my good friend Bob Nitrio calls a never-ending conversation with your clients. You're always talking about where they are and where they're going and how they're doing and what they're going to need in the future. I love the concept of making decisions about technology before it's necessary. For example, let's just say that you're backing up to a local disk on site. And you know someday it's going to fail. Okay, great. Make sure the client knows that too and say, when that system fails, here's what we want to do. I'd love to talk to you about something called a BDR, a backup and disaster recovery option. It's going to be a little bit of money, but it's far superior to what we've been doing in the past. So let me just get you some information about that, and that way you can make a decision. If you're lucky, the client will say yes, and then when the day comes that that system fails, you simply give them a quote for the BDR and say, remember we talked about this before and decided that this was the option we wanted to go with instead of just replacing that disk drive? Here you go. This is the quote for the BDR system. When you do it that way, the client is completely prepared. They have some idea what the costs are. They certainly have been sold on the benefits outside of the discussion about money. So once they've already decided that they're going with the BDR, then you come in when needed and give them information about the exact price. So think about what you can do in your roadmap meetings. Write out some questions for them to answer. You don't have to ask all of the questions, but be prepared with several questions that dig deep into what their company's doing, what's going on, how they're operating, their challenges and their triumphs, and then engage them in that never-ending conversation. For Small Biz Thoughts, this is Carl Palachuk wishing you all the best in your managed service business.